equality ever change? I don't believe at this point. It's sort of, it's out of the door. I think it's become acknowledged that the sun still comes up in the same place every morning. People still go off to their jobs. The world didn't come to an end. The marriage equality is a done deal. There's no way you can go back and undo that. It's interesting when we look at the history of marriage equality in the United States. We had a lot of hodgepodge across the country where you'd be in one state and you're married, and then you cross the border into another state and you're suddenly not married, and then you cross another border and you're married, and on around the country. And the case that actually gave marriage equality for the entire country was the Obergefell decision, which the gentleman, the surviving spouse, whose name was not allowed to be put on the death certificate as the surviving spouse. They had been married in another state, but their local state, was Ohio, did not recognize same-sex marriage, so they would not put his name on the death certificate. So that was the genesis for that particular lawsuit. 2 years prior to that, there was a tax case, actually, Edie Windsor, and her spouse died. I think they lived in New York, and New York recognized the marriage, but the federal government did not because of the Defense of Marriage Act. And as a result of the Internal Revenue Service not recognizing the valid marriage, Edie Windsor had to pay something like $650,000 in estate tax. So it was actually an estate tax appeal case. It's funny how these cases have really come from a tax refund case, and then one about having a deceased spouse's name put on a death certificate, as opposed to, we want to get married and we should have the right to get married. And one of the best things about marriage equality is gay divorce. Because prior to marriage equality, couples had no right, when their relationship ended, to go to court and say, hey judge, make him pay this loan, make him sell the house, make him do this, make her do that. It was really more of a free-for-all. Otherwise, parties really were left without a lot of recourse for dividing up property, custody of children, child support, all that sort of thing. For instance, a lot of couples would go to New York, take in a Broadway show, get married, come to Georgia. They're married in several states, they come to Georgia, they're not married. And then if they break up, they did not have the right to get divorced in Georgia. So it created such situations where couples were married and couldn't get unmarried. And in the instance of a couple getting married in New York, to get divorced, one of them would have to move to New York and live for a year for the court to have jurisdiction over the marriage. But once we had marriage equality, then we had full divorce equality. The LGBTQ community has been beaten up on so hard over the years that when you get a win, it's an amazing thing. Once the decision came out, couples just immediately flocked to the courthouses to get their wedding license and get their marriage. So they were performing a lot of marriages on that Friday. It was a pretty exciting day. LGBT practicing attorneys were just absolutely delighted because we finally had something we could work with, which eliminated a lot of the problems in estate planning as to who inherits, who's able to be in the hospital. There have been cases where unmarried couples, same-sex couples, have not been allowed to share a nursing home room together. And so being married, you get automatically all the rights that go with being married, where you could be housed in the same nursing home room with your spouse. Once they could get legally married, that suddenly made this other spouse the next of kin with all of the rights that the biological family had before that. I really never thought that I would see marriage equality in my lifetime, and to have it happen when it did blew my mind. I wish I could find somebody I'd want to marry. That would be a grand and glorious day. But I would look at it, because I am a lawyer and I know kind of what can go wrong. It's something I would certainly never jump into. It would certainly be wonderful to find somebody that I would want to marry that would actually want to marry me. That would be pretty amazing. I think probably most people probably want that. I know I have some clients who don't ever want to get married, don't even want to be in a relationship, don't want any part of it. Everybody can go do themselves, you know, they can, you do you, I do me, you know? So I'm just excited that it's an option where it didn't used to be. Nobody says I gotta go get gay married, but if I want to go get gay married and find somebody willing, well then it's my right to do it. And nobody can tell me I can't do it. And that, I think, is a good day for the LGBT community, that we can do it if we want to.